Just a couple things from obviously our last football game in terms of status with our guys. Colin Newell, practiced yesterday for the first time, which was great. I would still say he's questionable going into this week, but it's really good to get him back on the field. Kanena Longo practiced yesterday, but again, I would say he's questionable. I know I said that yesterday. Everybody else, though, back and ready to go and will be available for us going into this week. So that part obviously positive. Going into this week, very good Baylor football team. Start offensively, extremely skilled team, great quarterback, young man that's been in their system now going into 3 years. You can tell he's playing with a lot of confidence. Got a lot of respect for him and the ability to make plays with both his feet and his arm. Their skill group is extremely talented at the wide receiver position. Mims is, in my opinion, one of the best receivers in the league and probably one of the best receivers in the country right now with what he's doing. And then defensively, a lot of confidence there right now for sure, and deservedly so. They're playing fast, really physical on that side of the ball, have played great defense so far in their first couple football games. So great challenge for us, our first road test. And obviously we look forward to getting into Big 12 play and certainly our first opportunity to play in the Big 12. So with that said, I'll answer any questions you have for me.
Matt, I know you've always said you want to see how guys do under the lights, that can go a long way to start proving what their role can be. Now that Real has shown that, how can his role maybe evolve now?
Well, I think he showed he can play quarterback, and that's what you have to have. You got to have more than one guy that can play that position, and we're really fortunate that Real is on our football team, and we got two guys that we feel really confident with. And I don't think we've had the opportunity to see Real play in a football game and really manage the quarterback position, other than what we've done obviously in spring and in our own practices. So I just think for him, it's more confidence for him that when his opportunity comes and as he continues to grow in our system, when he steps in to play quarterback, he'll be able to go out there and really function. I thought he did a great job, and we're really proud of him.
Could you use him now more? Does that make you at least entertain the idea of kind of like what you had done in the Alamo Bowl, using him more in different ways now?
Yeah, I just think, that's a really unique situation because, I think distinctly you've got two guys there that are your quarterbacks, and I think sometimes, that's a little bit tougher because of how Brock's playing and also the situation for Real that he's so valuable to this football team. You're talking as that backup quarterback spot that I think you got to be really smart. So I think it's it's probably a little bit tougher situation than just easy to say, hey, we're going to go put him into the game and do a lot of different things with him because his value is so high. And I think Real knows and put a lot of time and effort into being a really good quarterback. And I think the product of what you saw on Saturday is a lot of work that he's done to get himself into those positions. So we're really proud of him, and we'll continue to find ways to put our best players on the field for sure.
What did you learn about your team after the first 3 games, and what do you still need to learn?
Well, I think the biggest thing is the integrity and character of this team, of what I thought going into the season and who we are now going into Big 12 play after the first really 4 weeks of the season is pretty much what I thought it was. And I thought, again, last week, certainly the game, great, whatever the result was or wasn't, but how our kids practiced last week going into Saturday, I thought was really, really huge to figure out who is this team going to become and what does this team have the ability to do. And I thought our best Tuesday and Wednesday practice we had all year, I think really easily could have gone the other way. A gut-wrenching loss the week before. I think for those seniors, tough to overcome that, but they did, and we were able to come back and have a great Tuesday and Wednesday. And I've seen this team get better each and every week, which has been a sign of really good teams that I've been a part of. They've had that unique trait to get better 1 week at a time, and this group at least has got the foundation of that starting right now, which I think is hugely positive. What do you got to see? We got to continue to get better in a lot of areas. Defensively, I think we continue to evolve, which is positive. We got to continue to harp on situational football on the defensive side of the ball. It's great to get some turnovers. We got to continue to put emphasis on those things as we continue to grow. their ability to adapt and respond to adversity was huge in that game on Saturday for us. But again, situational football will be the key and is the key to playing great defense. And then on the offensive side, I think just continuing to grow. It's so young. The quarterback's young. The O-line's got better in this, but all those skill players, you're starting to see kind of emerge into defining roles for themselves. And I think that'll only continue to happen as the season goes on. But, it's great to see guys really starting to give some consistency to play to themselves. So I think this team is kind of starting to take shape a little bit, and that's what I said Saturday after the game, where we're starting to become a real football team. And that part's exciting for us because that's what will give us a chance to be successful.
Through 3 games, you guys have only won 3 and out, and then on 30 of your 37 drives, you've been able to gain at least 20 yards. And obviously, on each drive, you want to be able to put the ball in the end zone. But how important can just that ability to consistently move the football every time you get the ball be for the entire team, not necessarily even just the offense?
Yeah, and Jared, I think that's, you hear me talk about so much about playing in rhythm and playing as a football team. Offensively is, in that old cliche of, man, if every possession can end in a kick, I think sometimes that there's a lot of reality to that when you have a great defense. And, I think for us, the ability to understanding that there may be games where ball control is really important. And, we got to have our defense continue to put us in good positions to be successful. There's games where obviously scoring is critical to our success, but the ability to move the football and at least change field position, I still think is really important in our game. And sometimes people will love the high scoring and all that, and we all do, but there's a point in time where you got to help your football team out, and just being able to move the football at times is really important. And obviously, that's the offensive staff's done a great job, and Brock's done a really good job at times doing that for us.
Talking about Brewer, like 72% completion percentage, 7 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. But he doesn't seem to generate the headlines as quarterbacks in this league goes. Can you just scout him a little bit, and what does he do so well? Why does he give the numbers that he does?
I think he is, you're talking a guy that's now 3rd year in the system, and he, when you watch him play, and we've talked about this a little bit about Baker Mayfield and some of the great quarterbacks in our conference that have that unique ability to own the offensive system. And I think the one thing that I've seen from him, even in the first 3 games this year, and be honest with you, when we played him last year here, I thought he had a tremendous game. He gave his team every opportunity to go win that football game. And it's the ability to know where to go with the football with great confidence. And I think that's the thing that really shows up in his play, and it certainly has the first 3 games this year, where the ball's getting out of his hand really fast. He knows where to go with the football. He doesn't make mistakes. He doesn't put his team in tough situations. And I think the other piece of it is he's got this unique ability when trouble occurs. He's got that great movement and ability to scramble and make plays down the field with his feet, both running the ball and throwing the ball. So he's a great challenge. Be a great challenge for us, but he is playing really good football right now for sure.
Coach, I know you already touched on it with Jared. Obviously, this offense put up a ton of points and yards last game, and obviously this is Big 12 play now. It's going to be a little different. What's the best way that this offense can continue that production? Obviously, 72 points is going to be hard to replicate, but how can this offense keep the momentum going as Big 12 play starts?
Well, I think what you've seen from our offense, to be honest with you, is an offense that's really worked hard to get better every week, and that's all you can ask. The numbers are whatever, in my opinion, but it's the ability to just keep growing and getting better. You got to remember, this is a really young offense. When you lose a Butler and you lose a Montgomery, you're almost creating a new identity to who you are and what you're becoming. And I think that we knew that was going to be that way early in the season for us. We felt like we were really close in those first 2 football games to having great games offensively, and we didn't. We did some things well, but still probably weren't playing to our potential. And I thought what you saw on this past Saturday is growth in some areas, but you're still talking, you can't start the game with 2 turnovers, and there's still little things that we got to continue to clean up. And now you're going against a very veteran defense that's playing really confident. And so, again, you're another unique challenge to a young offense. How does it handle it? How does it handle a different style of defense? All those things. I just think growth is what's really important for this offense to continue to grow, know who they are, and continue to help this team put itself in position to be really successful.
Matt, it seems like fans and the media always want to talk about tight ends, so I'll do my part.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
In that regard, I feel like somewhere along the line you had said you wanted to see those guys prove that they could catch the ball and be part of the offense. Are they doing that? And the second, when those guys are together, who's kind of the leader there that kind of rallies them?
Yeah. Well, it's a unique group. We'll start there, and obviously that uniqueness starts with its position coach and Coach Golish. But and I could go a lot of ways with that, but I probably won't go anywhere right now with it. But you know, I think from my end of it, they are starting to prove in critical moments that they can make those plays, and I think that's probably the biggest thing I meant by that. We knew all three of those young men are talented players. Charlie last year in some critical moments made some big plays for this team. Chase, when he was healthy a year ago, made some big plays, and Dylan was a great special teams player last year for us. And it was fun that as we went into the spring and knowing that we were going to change, you know, and needed to make some changes to involve them in our offense, that I thought you could see just their intent and intensity only continue to grow. And, you know, it's been really rewarding because I think it's those three guys, even you go this past Saturday, the catch Sainer makes early in the game on our sideline. Obviously, you know, the play Kolar makes right before half, the scramble, and he gets open and makes a big play. We're able to kick a field goal, and obviously Brock finds him. And then, you know, Chase has got a couple big plays in there throughout the game. And so those guys are proving it, and they are, and that part is certainly positive. The neat thing about them is none of them are finished products either. They're only going to continue to get better. You got to remember, you know, Charlie's only a redshirt sophomore, and Dylan has still played limited reps at the tight end position, and you know, Chase is trying to be healthy for the first time in his career for an entire season. And so even though those guys have been here a little bit longer, they're still young in what they're doing. So I think you'll only see them get better and better. What makes those guys really special, as you're talking about all three, is, you know, they're elite students. Charlie Kolar's a 3.9 GPA in our engineering school. Chase Allen, 3.5 in our engineering school. Dylan Sainer, 3.8 in our business school. They're highly intelligent young people too. And so I think what you're getting is the whole package with that group. And they all have their different entity, to be honest with you, of kind of who they are in that room. But I think their collection as a whole makes them really unique too. They're all three different people, but they are great students of the game as well as great competitors on the field.
Catching the ball like wide
They are. And you know, I think that's the other unique part about those guys is they were all wide receivers for the most part in high school. You know, if you go back and watch their high school film, those are guys that were great basketball players. You know, I know Coach Manning said Dylan wasn't a great basketball player, and he wasn't. But the other two were pretty good. And you know, but they all were those same kind of wide receivers that have moved in line a little bit, and you can tell they all have that natural ability to catch the football.
Matt, with this 3-3-5 defense that they like to run with three linebackers, how do you attack that from your perspective, and how big does the run game become for you guys in being consistent?
Yeah, you know, I think they're unique in what they're doing, and again, I said this a little bit about our defense going into the season, that you know, you can't minor in it, and I think what they're doing is very similar. You can't minor in what they're doing. They've kind of majored in this 3-5-3 style defense, and you know, I think the thing for us is what they have the ability to do is really not give up big plays, and you've seen that really from the start of the season. So having the ability to be efficient offensively is what's really critical to your success, and you know, whatever that is, whether it's in the passing game, whether it's in the running game, because once you get behind the chains, I think it's really hard against these style of defenses to really put yourself in a position to have success. So staying ahead of the chains, being efficient in your offensive plays is going to be really important for us to play good offensive football.
What kind of synergy Tom and Brock had as coordinator and quarterback in helping that offensive production kind of grow, and maybe their relationship and how it's developed since Tom came back?
Yeah, you know, I think it's a three-headed monster there that's really unique, because if you said Brock and Tom, if you knew their personalities, you would say probably the opposite end of the spectrum. And the guy in the middle of that personality is Joe Gordon. And so I think it's those three that are really, I think, in such a great rhythm. I think that the relationship and what Tom brought back is he gave us, I think, some great stability in the passing game of what we were doing and how we needed to do it, and it has done a great job of organizing that. I think Joel having that relationship between he and Tom being so powerful, those two being so close, been together since Emory and Henry College, and that relationship has certainly helped the communication. And I think the biggest thing you're getting in that offensive room is no matter who it is, it's one voice, and it's getting a clear line of communication from whether it's Coach Shieldhouse talking about the passing game or it's Joel talking about the passing game or Tom. I think that's been huge, and what you get with that then, I think, is great clarity at the quarterback position of what everybody's doing and how they're doing what they're doing. So I think it's certainly been beneficial, especially in the early part of the season, that you see a great confidence, and I think those relationships in there, it's a really close room. It's a really close-knit room, from the tight end coach to the running back coach to the, that helps communication, and I think that helps the unification. And that certainly, as a quarterback, I think you want to feel that, and we're really fortunate to have that. But I think great relationships for sure. But I think that three-headed monster has been a huge asset to certainly Brock going into this season.
I think Coach Haycock said this was the case too, that you guys are seeing some stuff from offenses that they're not doing against anybody else, that they're not even really putting on film. What's the challenge of adapting within a game when teams are trying to attack your defense in different ways, and how have you been able to?
Yeah, there are only 11 players, on the field, and so you can only disperse those 11 players, so many ways. And I think the thing that is unique about what we do defensively is, it's hard to go on the video and say, well, they're going to play you like this because that's who they played so and so like. And sometimes when everybody's a four-man front, you're playing quarters, you've got a pretty good idea of what's the philosophy of that coordinator or that team of how you're going to attack them. And I think with us being unique and different, you have to almost understand that what you see on video is maybe not exactly what you're going to get, because our scheme is drastically different than maybe what a lot of people are doing. And that's changing, obviously, as other people are adapting some of the things we're doing. So that'll help us continue to maybe have an idea how people will attack us. But, again, the communication on that side of the football, in-game adjustments are really important. And, I think that's one of the things that I hope people would say, man, our staff has done a great job of since we've been here, is the ability within a football game to adjust, communicate, know what our foundation is, and then what's our answer once somebody tries to attack us here or there. And that's certainly been the case on the defensive side of the football. And again, those relationships and that trust from the press box to Coach Haycock, and then the ability to adapt and adjust within game, I think has helped us immensely, and it will continue to be critical for us, because I think people will only continue to certainly scheme different ways to attack our defense.
What kind of role has Trevor had in terms of the offensive line continuing to evolve and get better?
Yeah, I think the thing Trevor brings to our offense is, number one is he brings a sense of physical, tough, and a guy that absolutely loves football. And, I think we knew that about Trevor, because when that's why we're so excited that Trevor Downing decided to come to Iowa State, because that was the one passion that I saw in him, is that guy loved to play offensive line. He was passionate about the game of football, and he has worked really hard to put himself in position to maximize his opportunity when his opportunity came. And it's really what he's done. And I think the benefit to him too, and I said this last night, you got to remember he's playing beside a left tackle that's played a ton of football here and has played here for the last 4 years, starting games, a center that has earned the right to come from the bottom to the top, to earn the right to play, and all of a sudden has played a lot of football now. And so Trevor gets the opportunity to just play. And I think when Trevor just plays, he's about as good as you can find, because he's physical and tough, and he does all the little things really, really well that offensive linemen need to do to execute to be successful. So he's certainly been a great asset to us. I think Colin Olson's move inside in playing at the level he's playing at has been such a huge piece to our at least being able to play with somewhat consistency over the last 2 football games on the O-line.
Is this the best the line has played since you've been here?
I mean, yes, I would say yes right now, but what's good O-line play? You guys can't answer it, and it's hard for me to answer it. You guys think you know the answer, or you don't know the answer. Like, good O-line play is you gotta wait 12 football games, you gotta say, what did that group do over the entirety? Because really what good O-line play is you don't notice them for an extended period of time. And those are the guys that have the ability to consistently play throughout the football season at a high rate. That's what really good O-line play is. And, you know, it's great that we've had 2 games of that, but the challenges only get more challenging. You know, their consistency, can they continue to play at that level? So it's great that we've had 2 games of consistently good O-line play, and have we had that? Probably not, you know, but it's good to see what those guys are doing. But I think the end of the season will tell us what kind of offensive line this group really was. So at least we're off to a good start.
What's Orion Vance meant to your defense? He's averaging over a sack per game right now.
Yeah, you know, I would just say this about Orion. I think, you know, he's getting his work deserved. You know, he's worked really, really hard. You know, he's a guy that kind of was not the starter going into fall camp and earned the right to play because of the type of fall camp that he had and the type of summer that he had. And so I think the reality for Orion is, you know, he's what successes or small successes that are coming early in the season are a direct result of how he's practiced and how he's prepared for this season. Again, you're talking about a position that consistency is critical. You're right in the heart of this defense, and so, you know, he's done a great job of making the most of his opportunities. But for us to play great defense, he's going to have to continue to get better and continue to play at that level that certainly he's playing at right now.
What areas do you want to see him improve at? Because you said you want to see him continue to improve.
Yeah, I just think the consistency of play. You know, I think that's a huge piece in there. Like you're talking about a guy that a lot of the defense gets funneled to and around, and I think the consistency of making those plays and when the opportunities are there, the more consistent he is, the better this football team will be for sure.
Your game with this team last season was obviously emotional, I guess would be a good way to put it. What's kind of your last memory of that game, and what do you feel like it allowed you guys to be able to come out on top in that one?
Yeah, you know, I think, I know, you know, that football game, they're playing for a bowl game, we're playing to continue to stay in the race. There's a lot of emotion in it. It's late in the football season. I do think the one thing that you get and you watch them play on film and you watch us play on film is their kids play really hard and our kids play really hard. So, you know, I think anytime you get into that, and, you know, we've already played in one of those environments and one of those games, it becomes the ability to kind of control your emotions and the ability to kind of play to play and execute. And I do think that'll be critical. We did that at times in that football game, even after things got crazy in that game last year. We were able to kind of just stay the course through that football game, and it wasn't perfect, but we were able to do that. So every game's different, every situation's different, but I think anytime you're playing a really competitive game, you know, the ability to play one play at a time and stay present, really, really important for your success.
Our offense is doing anything different to Jaquan?
Yeah, you know, I really don't see that. You know, I think the biggest thing that you see is, and this is a byproduct hopefully of Eddie being back here doing what he's doing. You know, I think you see people trying to get the ball out of their hands fast, you know, and you see, you know, I think the short passing game is something that teams have tried to attack us at least early in the football season with. And I think that's probably been maybe the bigger byproduct of what you see or what you don't see. What I am really proud of what I've seen from Jaquan is his ability to play the run game like he's playing right now. I think he's playing really good football that way. But you know, that'd probably be my answer to that. Nothing, you know, drastically that jumps off the film in terms of pass protection.
Would you rather have a 1,000-yard rusher? I think I've asked you this before. Would you rather have a 1,000-yard rusher or the unit run for 1,700 yards or so, and you can't say both?
Yeah, well, no, I won't say both. Just to me, the consistency is way bigger to me than the number. I think that, again, that number, what's that mean? You know, like, it doesn't mean, sometimes when you have a special running back, maybe that means something, but the reality of it's the consistency of the running game. And, you know, that is what we probably have been missing at times, Randy, and I think that's the one thing that I would say that we're closer to where we've ever wanted to be. And, you know, and closer to what we've been at Toledo than maybe what we are, you know, where we are right now, and that part's certainly positive. And so, you know, I think that part of it is more of the consistency, right? So I'd probably take the higher number of rush yards for sure.
Tariq talked a little bit about how he wanted to prove to you guys that he can be a explosive player. Has he done that so far?
Yeah, explosive player, yes, and I think the thing that we want from Tariq and our final step and his final step is, he showed a lot of that a year ago. He made big plays and big moments for this football team, and you can go to the Kansas State game a year ago, you can go to Oklahoma State a year ago. He knows how to make the big plays. I think what's been really fun for us is to see, kind of like the O-line, the last 2 games you've seen Tariq Milton be a consistently really dynamic football player, and he's got all those tools and all that kind of ability. He's practiced that way through the spring. He practiced that way through much of fall camp, and again, he's starting to kind of reap the rewards of what he's put into this. But I'm a big fan of Tariq, and he's a guy that's got all those tools to be that consistent football player that we need him to be for us to be as successful as we can be.
Brock's the rushing's been going up, the past 3 games. Went from negative to 30 and then now 75. Scored 3 touchdowns. So is that you guys kind of telling him to run a little bit more, keep his options open, or is that kind of him going back to square one like he did last year?
Yeah, I think really the production, at least last week, predominantly came from those were plays where he had the ability to either hand it off or run it. And so, I think probably us putting him in some of those positions more is really the result of that. Obviously, every time I see Brock run, sometimes I'd rather see him get down than run, but I think if we know Brock, he's not going to do that. So, I think the reality for Brock is his greatest improvement that I've seen in his game is his ability to stay in the pocket, his eyes downfield, and make those throws downfield. We've reaped the rewards of it, and it's great to have a quarterback that's got the ability to run the football too at times to kind of help our running game out.
We talked about Brewer earlier. How much is he impacting what they're doing in the red zone? Because they've really improved in that along with third down. How much of that is on Brewer?
Yeah, I think again, his decision making is what is allowing him to have great success, and I think it's really hard to talk about the quarterback without talking about their great skill players. I mean, Mims is one of the best players in my opinion in the country. I mean, big, talented, strong. You go down to those red zone successes and even the third down successes. I mean, he is such a huge asset to it. And then the play they're getting from some of the other receivers across the board right now, that's an area that's really jumps off the film. They've got great skill players, and then the ability to distribute to those great skill players is certainly the credit to the quarterback. But yeah, great challenge for us, and certainly they're playing at a really high rate.
All right, thanks.
Thanks.